Hello everyone, this is Arpijan here and I welcome you again on the Civil Learners. So we have been discussing about the different kinds of perception about economics, and today I have been discussing about the classical and neoclassical economy in the last two videos, but I could not describe you what is classical and neoclassical economy, but we have determined about the types of economics, that is micro and macro, and we have also learnt about the Adam Smith's book, which is totally dependent on the classical economy. So let's think about what is classical and neoclassical economy. So if we talk about economy in the two different terms, that is classical and neoclassical. So remember the classical totally depends on what? The consumption of material by any industry, and with respect to the rent on labor. When these both are included in any material aspect, material prospect, it determines the value of market or the market price of any good. What it determines? It determines when we include the consumer. What are the things? They may be the raw materials and different kinds of goods which is needed to be have a very broad good or very high good, and with respect to that, the rent on labor means the rent you pay to the labor. When we include this both, it determines the market price of any commodity. But with respect to the neoclassical, what neoclassical aspect says? The neoclassical aspect says it is the determination or the satisfaction of the people or the consumer class which decides the value of any commodity or the market price of any commodity. It does not just include the raw material and the labor, it also includes the utility satisfaction of the consumer class which determines the market price. So how we should include all these aspects? So when we are talking, when I yesterday told about the different kinds of global crisis, that is 2008, and we also discussed about the 1928 global crisis. So that totally depend on what the neoclassical aspect. Why? Because if a good obtains from around 60 rupee, and if the market price according to the neoclassical view, the market price must be 100 rupees, so there must be the high profit to what? To the market, and even there would be the greatest exploitation of the people. So what happens if the lower class could not pay the 100 rupee? The utility has been downgraded. They cannot even think to buy such kind of commodities. They cannot even think about such kind of services. Why? Because the classical economy, when we are talking about class, why the classical economy just told about the consumption of the raw materials plus the rent on labor? Because the classical economy totally says about the materialistic character. It is never told about the services. It always tells about the materialistic aspect which we can feel by our sense organs, which we can touch with the limited consumption. So the classical economy, that's why, includes only the consumption of the raw material plus the rent on labor determining the market price, but a neoclassical aspect totally determines the market price on the satisfaction of the people. As more as the people are growing rich, they must be thinking about the increment in the price of any good. Why? Because the market of the India or any global market depends on the middle class, and as long as there is economic growth in the middle class or any kind of class, there will be continuous increment in the price of market of commodities, of different commodity. So let's talk about the 2008 crisis. Why it has happened? Because the neoclassical aspect has been totally determining that with respect to the economic growth, there will be continuous development and continuous growth in the sustenance living of the people. But that is totally a wrong aspect. If there is an economic growth doesn't mean if there is an increment in GDP, if there is increment in the national income, it doesn't mean it is lowering the unemployment, it is lowering the poverty. It doesn't mean. We do have the highest unemployment now, highest poverty now, after being implementation of so many policies like Manrega. But even though we have a highest unemployment, that's why the Indian diasporas are living in the different kinds of countries in the global aspect. So these are the things why the 2008 crisis happened, because the aspect which is totally told about the increment in the economic growth would lead to the sustenance living, would lead to high sustenance living. This aspect has brought to the 2008 financial crisis, because the people who belong to the lower class, the people who belong to the non-economic growth class, they would be well exploited and they could not have money in their hands. And that had happened to the crisis, the greatest crisis of 2008. So this is the classical and neoclassical aspect, which the classical aspect is totally talking about the Adam Smith book, and which is totally talking about the materialistic character, but the neoclassical view is also talking about the services provided, the satisfaction, the utility. The classical economy also talks about utility, but in the material aspects. Okay, so this is the broad aspect of classical and neoclassical view. So let's talk about how this has happened, why we have talked about the economy as a science or economy as an art. Why we have talked about science, and really what is the science? What do we mean by science? The science, what is science? It is the conception of facts. Talking about facts which can have any cause or any effect, which you can analyze in the broad aspect, which you can analyze the future, which can be universally accepted, which can be predicted in a 100% manner. So this is science. This is about the correlationship between the cause and effect. It determines the correlationship between the cause and effect, and that's why we do talk about science, the economy as a science, because there are so many things in economy like inflation. I have already talked about inflation, deflation, and the crisis. Even though we do have a different kinds of index, that is HDI, Human Development Index. Human Development Index determines the economic growth. It determines the standard of living. But in all the things we can say that we do not have all types of facts. We do not have all types of facts at every situation. But sometimes we also feel about our emotions. We also feel about, as we talk about the World Hunger Index, as we talk about the different more index which decides the class of our society. Likewise, if we are talking about science, it also tells about a positive aspect and a normative aspect. You know, there is a greatest definition by economists, by T.K. Mehta, who has told that knowledge is a science. Knowledge is a science, but action is art. Knowledge is a science, and when you use this knowledge in a very broad aspect, with the great analyzation, with the greatest perception, when you determine, which determines your action, that belongs to art. Okay, so but let's come back to the positive aspect of the science character. What do really positive aspects say? It says that what is realistic character. It doesn't say just provide me some kind of suggestion what is the future class. It doesn't say, it doesn't talk about the future. It totally depends on the realistic view of the people. It totally determines what is the current situation. And this all, what is, it may be the high inflation in the market, it may be the high deflation in the market, even though the monetary policy are not working well. So these are the things which we can determine at a stance. We cannot see, we cannot talk about what with the future aspect. But when we are talking about the future aspect, when we are talking about what ought to be, what would be the suggested view, that would be the normative aspect. So talking about the realistic character, as yesterday also we talked about a practical idealism. That is what is. But when we are talking about the suggestions, but when we are talking about the future prospect, that is a normative aspect. Okay, so got it? So why we have transformed this science into the positive and the normative aspect? So this is the class about what is and what ought to be. Let's think about some kind of view, like we do have some kinds of poverty in the country, we do have unemployment, and we do have a different kinds of phenomena in our country class. Likewise, we have characterized the classes into the lower class, middle class, upper middle class, and even though what we say when we talk about the Oxfam report, which has totally told that the 1% of the people of India contributes such kind of money which is totally equal to the 45% of the people of India. So that is the realistic character. That is realistic character which we have talked about in the positive aspect of science. And when we are talking about the normative aspect of science, we are talking about the suggested view. How this can be eradicated from the society. If you are talking about unemployment, poverty, how we can eradicate all this situation. Okay, got it? So this is a science aspect, but when we talk about art, because the normative view can also belong to what ought to be in a such way that you also have some kind of emotion, you also have some kind of sentiment which determines the perspective of your society. But let's talk about art. What is art? As I told you, a science. Likewise, a knowledge is science. But when this knowledge transpires into action, it becomes an art. When you are following action by your knowledge, by the analyzation of this knowledge in a very broad aspect, by the global phenomena, determining the different values at the crisis level or the very punctual level, it is determined by knowledge. But when it comes to action, by using this knowledge, it becomes an art. So if we talk about the different kinds of index in the society, we do have a mixture of positive plus normative, which is totally a science. And when we talk about art, this both includes in any philosophical aspect of every economy. Got it? So this is the thing which I wanted to tell you about economy, and these are the aspects, these are the perception, these are the perspectives which is the core value of economy and why the economy has been categorized into the different views. So I hope you have understood all this thing. So thank you so much, and we will meet you in the next video with a macroeconomic video, because I want to tell you about the very small aspects like monetary policy, how it works, and talking about inflation, what is deflation, and very broad aspect like national income and per capita income. So as after this we will go to macroeconomy, then we will come back to the different theories of microeconomy, so it would be easy to understand with you, because the stability, the economical stability, the demand and supply can only be understood with the macroeconomical phenomena. So thank you so much, and see you in the next video. So if you like our video, please hit the like button, and do subscribe for having the future videos, and keep learning. Thank you so much.